Hey guys, Toolman Tim here. Welcome back to the workshop where we build business, create community, find freedom, and share success. It's Sunday night, which means it's time for another Talking Tools live stream, and we're trying something a little bit different this week. We are streaming directly from the desk just in case I ran into any problems. I'm trying the whole new interface here on the desktop software, and well, we will see. The video looks good. If you guys pop in here and you have any audio issues, let me know. Like I said, this is all kind of a brand new system for me tonight. I always say the only way to get better is to be uncomfortable and to grow, and that's exactly what I am doing. I'm trying to up the game for you guys so that you get a little better quality out of the live streams. I've got some really good content for you this week, but I wanted to try on the live stream. We've got some good changes coming to it. You'll find out down the road a little bit about it. But this week, once again, is going to be the Q&A social media roundup. So I might as well dig right in. If you pop in, say hello in the comments, the live chat on the side there, guys. I'd love to hear from you. So this week, and just let me know again if the sound's working, all of that for you. So this week, first question comes on Facebook, and it's from Jeremiah. He says, "Hey, Tim, I wanted your input. I'm wondering if I can tackle a DIY sheet vinyl linoleum install. Have you ever done it? I've done vinyl plank before, but not sheet vinyl. It looks simple enough, but I have a lot of half walls, appliance bays, and bathrooms to do." So honestly, if you ask my wife, she'll always tell you, "Hey, John, nice to see you. Hi, Hireth." I know who that is. She said, "Hey, Dad." So as far as vinyl goes, if you ask my wife, she'll tell you, I get nervous when I'm starting a new task, learning a new project. And vinyl flooring was exactly the same thing. So one thing I can say is if you can find yourself somebody that can give you a little bit of hands-on experience, let you help them a little bit with the job, it will go a long way. What I did was there's a local couple here. They just moved away. We took over all their property management for them. I ended on a flooring job. Can I help with it? And of course, he said, "Absolutely. I'd love some free labor." So I said, "Yeah, I'd love to step in and help." Anyway, so he showed me the ins and the outs of it. So if you can find someone who will let you do it with them the first time, great. But that being said, don't be too intimidated by laying down vinyl flooring. It's really nowhere near as bad as you might think it is. So I'll tell you what I've learned. First off, surface prep is the absolute number one thing that you need to do. Make sure the floor is clean. Make sure any old debris is scraped up, removed your old flooring, that sort of thing. If you need to, you can always use a thin set top coat that you can put down. You can buy that. But honestly, as long as it's good and there's no dirt, no loose material on there, you're going to be good. Start with a square room. That if you can start with something simple, I know yours sounds a little more difficult, Jeremiah, but if you can start in a square area, it's going to make your life a lot better. Buy more than you need, buy a couple of feet either way, and then cut it kind of roughly, say 6 to 8 inches wider than the entire room. Roll it down, and then take your time cutting the flooring all the way around. Sorry for hitting the mic, guys. And just trim a little bit at a time, because you can always trim a little more off, but you can't, how do you want to put it? Put laminate floor or vinyl flooring back once you've cut it off. So just take your time and just trim a little bit at a time as you go around, and then get it to the point where you've got it trimmed all the way really good. You got it fit nice in place. Then roll 1/2 to 3/4 of it back. Trowel out your adhesive, then let it sit in the air for a bit, let it get sticky and tacky and that sort of stuff, then roll it back down. Then do the other side, roll it up, then roll it back down, and then roll the whole flooring out and then let it set. You can do it, I promise. Watch a bunch of videos on YouTube University. That's how I do all of these things when I learn myself. But get started with that and then get going from there. It takes time. I sent Jeremiah a video of one I did. My wife and I did her office for her daycare. It turned out incredible. I love doing it now. And in most ways, hey, Ted, nice to see you. In most ways, it's actually faster than, say, vinyl plank or even laminate. It goes down so quick. It's just getting over that initial, I'm nervous, it's something new, all of that. So once you take the steps, you get comfortable, you start going, all the better. All right. So the next question I had this week came from Ken over on YouTube, and it was about the Gen Tent review I did a couple of weeks back. You guys seen that? The little enclosure kind of weather protector for generators. He wanted to know, he had a friend that was looking at the Gen Tent, wanted to know if you could use the pole start with it installed. So I wasn't 100% sure. I took a lot of video, a lot of pictures, and it didn't show me in all those pictures. So I went back and installed it. And sure enough, down on the side, you've got lots of room. It's a little tight, but you've got lots of room to give it a good pull. So if it wasn't really apparent in the review video, the front, it has an apron that comes down to cover all of your electrical connections, but on the sides, it's wide open to allow air in. So that's where it allows you to get in and use the pull cord. So yeah, it leaves lots of room. Hopefully you don't have to pull on a generator more than you need to, because it's just going to give you a good case of tennis elbow. But honestly, yes, those Gen Tents, they leave enough room in there to get in and use the pull start. So in case anybody was wondering about that. Now, I have been asked this one at least 6 times this week. I know you guys have asked me a bunch of times. I'm going to do a video on it. Just haven't done it yet. But I literally had, even Jack asked me in the, when you get a little bit of time to banter with the host on the podcast before you go live, he even asked me, make sure you post that again this week about the replacement head for the DeWalt trimmers, because people ask all the time. So once again, the head model numbers that will replace that work really well, the Stihl or Steel, however you pronounce it, 25.2 and the Husqvarna T35. I've been running the Stihl myself. It works great. It actually works incredibly well. And the Husqvarna has come highly recommended to me from a bunch of different landscapers. So those are the two. If you're looking for a replacement head, use one of them. They're awesome. They work great. I just picked up another Stihl. I've got another one coming. And as soon as the brand new one gets here, I'm going to do an install video on it so that I can share with you. And I'll just knock it out of the park right away and put it up, because everybody seems to want to see it. All right. So the next question is from Chris over on YouTube. He says, hey, love your channel. I was wondering if you can help me out. I'm trying to make a sound dampening box for my Furman Costco generator. I'm planning to use Roxol 2-inch mineral wool foil backed insulation. Also, it's going to use an exhaust fan and an air intake vent for cooling. Would this be good to use instead of those expensive soundboards? Thanks. And keep up the good work in your channel. Well, you know, flattery is always great, but no, thanks for the kind words. But so absolutely, yes, this stuff will work. I did a ton of reading to answer this question for him, because I was pretty sure, but it's been a long time since I sold insulation. But as far as the Roxol, it's actually a little better soundproofing than your typical fiberglass type insulation. I don't know if it has to do with the base that it's made out of, the fact that it's made out of rock or whatever, but overall it has a slightly better sound dampening, what do you want to call it, level or whatever rating than your typical pink insulation. Also, a couple other tips. Layer it. So if you're going to use a couple layers, go one this way, or layer different types of insulation. So if you have, say, some sort of panel that you want to put in there that's going to help shield the heat, even though this has a foil built in, layering ends up making the soundproofing better. It's like putting two products together gives you a higher soundproofing amount than if you used each one individually. So I hope that helps. But yeah, so if anybody else is looking at building one of those enclosures for your generator, that Roxol, he sent me some links for on Amazon. It's only 2 inches thick, so you know you don't have a ton of room, a ton of thickness, especially in those enclosed Rubbermaid containers. But it looks like that would be a pretty darn good, cost-effective, as far as thickness and soundproofing for cost. Looks like that'll be one of the ways to go for sure. All right, the next one, G Hearts or Geharts on Float, and they wanted to know what is the best way to cut Corian countertop. Replaced a slide-in stove and need to trim off 3/4 off the back of the opening so the new one fits in properly. And, it's one of those things, if you've dealt with Corian before, and I haven't seen Joseph in here yet, but I can guarantee you he has more experience with Corian than I have. I've cut it a couple of times, used to sell the stuff a lot, deal with the salespeople, but Honestly, with most materials, and corian especially, there's really three things you can do. A fine finish blade with as many carbide teeth as you can get. 80 or more is ideal. Then clamp a straight edge on, something like, I mean, you can use anything, but a level works good, a board, and then just use your Irwin quick release clamp, something like that, so that you have a good straight edge. Stop hitting the mic, Tim. So you have a good straight edge when you're making that line. And then number 3, put down painter's tape and write your line right through the middle of that. And then cut through it, and cut it just like you'd normally cut wood using your circular saw or whatever you happen to have on hand. But corian, it's expensive, it's durable, it's tough, it's hard, but you can basically cut it the same way you'd cut with wood, as long as you have a nice, 80 carbide tooth or more finish blade will work great. Get yourself a good straight edge and then put tape down and cut through the line, and it's going to work for you. So what do we got next? Lots. The Lots project over on Float. Some of the usernames on Float are awesome. They're one of those things. I enjoy them. But they asked me, they'd seen I'd posted the new electric lockpick that I'd picked up, and they wanted to know, does it work the same as those homemade lockpicks that are made out of electric toothbrushes? And the long and the short is yes, basically. Tom recommended this electric lockpick to me, and by electric, it's really battery powered, but it looks like it's going to work really well. But it's basically just, it's like a souped up electric toothbrush, and you just hit the button and it vibrates, and it has the little pick and rake that you stick into it. You decide on which thickness, which size teeth you're going to need, stick that in the lock, and then you vibrate it. And while you do, you have a little tension wrench in there, and it basically speeds up picking the lock. It makes it idiot proof from what I can tell. But yeah, it's basically, a Chinese factory made version of the electric toothbrush lockpick. So yeah, I'm looking forward to giving it a test. I don't think I have any bank properties coming up anytime soon that I'm going to have to do that on, but I'm definitely going to get it out, do some testing on it, and we'll see how it goes. But you guys will probably see a preview video first, and I'll get a tool time review on it out before too long, because if anybody else has struggled with drilling out locks like I have, I've ended up wasting too much time and breaking too many good drill bits on one of those electric lockpick, or on one of those locks that I could be using an electric lockpick on. So Brandon Ham over on MeWe, he wanted an update on my 100-gallon fuel storage tank. So if you guys have been following me on social, I've been talking about that 100-gallon fuel storage tank, and I'm kind of in a bit of a holding pattern with it right now. It worked really well. I got it sanded down, painted, installed, leak-free, washed out, filled up with fuel, and I got that far. And it works really well. But even though I pressure washed the hell out of the damn thing, I still ended up with some gunk in the bottom. I thought, okay, my filter's going to catch it. But my filter didn't catch it, because my filter was a water filter, not a sediment filter. So I had to order one of those, because when I filled up my zero turn with the gas out of the tank, it ended up clogging up my fuel line and caused me a bad day, made me swear a little bit, that kind of stuff. So that was the first issue I had. That's definitely easily fixable. So that's coming up. The second one's a bit more of maybe a concern or an issue, but on the really hot days, I get a little bit of fumes in there. I don't like the smell, and I don't like the idea of having some gas fumes in the garage itself. So I need to build in, excuse me, some, I don't know how you want to, but just basically a vent, because the problem is, number one, the caps are all really tight and really, well, they vent. Basically, you tighten them down, but they always blow off the excess, and it's been really hot, and it's been driving me nuts. In the cold weather, it won't be an issue, but I want to make sure it's set up for the warmth next year. So I'm either going to move it into my sea can or leave it in the garage and build a permanent vent, basically. Ted says I'm looking good. Thanks. My wife thinks so too, but just kidding, Ted. Thank you. Sounding good too. So that makes me really happy. This Fifine podcast style mic, this is the one I use for recording the segments for the survival podcast that I do on the Expert Council. I love the sound coming out of it. This was a big step getting this whole setup going. I'm glad that I did it, because now I can be right here at the desktop when I'm streaming. I've got might as well tell you about it now. Anyway, I got a black background coming soon. So you won't have to look like I'm on a green screen trying to fade out my background or anything. So that'll be good. But that's going to be a big step. Then I'll be able to get my logo up here somewhere. I'm going to be using the StreamYard software coming up real soon. So you'll actually, I was just going to point at my screen. You can't see that. Actually, right here somewhere, there'll be a logo. So you'll be able to see my Toolman Tim logo. That's going to be really cool. But I'm excited. It's fun. You always feel like a kid the first day of kindergarten when you're starting making big changes and big steps, because it's always a little uncomfortable and there's always a chance you're going to screw something up, but that's okay. So that was the end of the questions. I had a whole bunch of recommendations, a bunch of tips sent in from you guys in the last couple of weeks too. So I thought I'd share some of that stuff with you. Last week, out of the video on my rechargeable battery setup, Chicken Hawk sent me a message there over on MeWe, and he was saying that the rechargeables, the EBL rechargeables that he gets on Amazon are a top-notch, I don't want to say knockoff, but a good comparison brand. So I'm going to grab some of them and include them in my rechargeable showdown video. But if anybody's looking, are you looking for a good quality compared to price, EBL rechargeables off of Amazon are a really good one. So Embedded Fabrication, that's the username. So Embedded Fabrication on YouTube made a comment on one of the videos, and I wanted to share this idea with you. And I think I've talked about it a little bit in the past, but I summed it up. It was kind of a longer comment, but it was, sometimes a smaller generator is better than a bigger one. And you know what? That entire idea, I've got a bunch of notes written down now for a video coming up, but they're absolutely, it can absolutely be true. I mean, bigger is always better, right? At least in Texas and Alberta and things like that. But that being said, yes, I love my huge, massive tri-fuel generator that can run my entire house. Absolutely. And but that being said, love having a big generator, but sometimes a smaller one is better. And the biggest point that I can kind of point at and what they're talking about there is fuel consumption. The bigger the generator, they're always running. So even with no load, they're going to be running a ton of gas, So the bigger the generator, the more gas it's going to burn, the more fuel it's going to burn, and hence the more fuel you need to have on hand. That being said, of course, there's always a trade-off. So the smaller the generator, the less things you can run. You might have to swap out your fridge, your freezer, your sump pump, all of that. So that in between, sometimes a smaller generator is better. Sometimes a bigger generator is better. Depends on your personal situation. I'm totally fine with stockpiling a whole bunch of fuel so that we can be comfortable as a family and run everything we need other than our central air unit at this point. And maybe I'll look at upgrading something to be able to do that too. But yeah, so I don't know what your guys' thoughts are. Is a bigger generator better? Smaller generator better? But I'm definitely going to do a video on that down the road. Why? I think it's going to be something like, 5 points of why a smaller generator is better. And we'll just see. Maybe I can stir up some shit and get some people. I always love controversial topics like that to do videos on, because you're always going to get a few comments that said, Tim, you're absolutely wrong. Let me tell you why. Ted said, checked out Chicken Hawk's farmstead review on the DeWalt chainsaw. He did a good job. Excellent job. I haven't seen Hawk in here tonight, but I was really happy to see that video because I bought the 60 volt chainsaw. They're really good. But I always think in the back of my head, should I really have spent that much? So it's going to be good. I love seeing what came in the box with his 20 volt, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of the actual hands-on real-world application of it down the road, because he's going to do a follow-up video on basically that, just how it works and all of that. So over on MeWe, I Am Your Huckleberry said that I posted, if you guys saw, again last week, or maybe it was earlier this week, the Milwaukee utility knives came on sale for $9.99 again. Awesome deal. They sold out super quick. Not saying just because I talked about it, they sold out, but that they were on a good deal, and I got them out there and they sold out quick. So anybody who managed to get one, I seen 1 or 2 people came through on the Amazon sales report that people had bought them. So they were good. Anyway, Huckleberry says, my only gripe with them, and it's one of the selling points, is the fact that they're folding. said, therefore, they don't play well with tool pouch compartments. They tend to fall down into pockets and become difficult to access. These are good for sticking in your pants pocket when not carrying a dedicated tool belt. It still works, but I prefer a full-sized utility knife when doing heavy construction work. Said Irwin makes a variety of good knives. So, of course, when someone disagrees with me, my first thought is, no, you're wrong. Because, ask my wife, ask my daughter, Charlotte, she's on here tonight. She'll tell you, I don't like to be wrong, or I don't like to I shouldn't say that. Anyway, I don't always, when somebody shares an opinion about a product I really like, I got to stop and think about it for a minute. And you know what? He's absolutely right. I love my folding Milwaukee fastback knife. Works incredible. It's durable. It's heavy. Well, heavy as in it works good, but they're right. When I put it in my damn tool belt, the damn thing finds its way right to the bottom. So if it's in with a bunch of nails, it goes right below all the nails. If it's in there with my snips and my tape measure and all the other stuff, it manages to find its way all the way to the bottom. Not the end of the world. It's just I'm always digging every time I need it. It's a great pocket knife. So I got thinking, I'm like, well, I need to bring in a rigid one that doesn't fold just to try it out. Now, I know Huckleberry recommended Irwin, but I really like my Milwaukee. So I did a bunch of digging. I forgot to write down the model number, but I will share it with you guys later on. I found a non-folding aluminum Milwaukee made in the same style as the fastback. I'll have a review for you. I'm going to test it out because I still have some vinyl siding to do. I'm going to use it, put it in my tool belt, and see if that does solve the only, and I mean only, small issue that I have with the fastbacks. And that is, when they're folded down, they do slide down in underneath whatever else you happen to have in your tool belt. So Ken had an awesome tip over on YouTube. And if you guys don't know Ken Cornelius, look him up on MeWe. Friend him if you're over on MeWe, because he always shares some of the best tips and knowledge that I've found through here. And he said, once again, this one came out of my tips for getting your generator start. And his tip was to make sure you use good fuel, but he says he uses recreational fuel in his generator. $5 a gallon, no additives, stores much longer, and he still adds seafoam though. And that being, hey Brandon, how are you? Nice to see you. And I have to do some more digging around here because you guys know things are a little different north of the border here in Kanakistan, or the People's Republic of Canada. So I got to dig around and see if I can find some recreational fuel. I know they sell the pre-canned stuff. It's like an alcohol. I can't exactly remember, but at the local rental store here, they do sell some of that. But I'm going to look into this recreational fuel. I don't know if any of you guys use it, but Ken really recommends it. And, it costs a little more, but it doesn't have all that junk and all the additives in it. So it's supposed to last a ton longer. And then he adds seafoam as well. And you guys know I love my seafoam. So Ted says he loves his fastback too. It stays in my pocket 24/7. I use E-swing when I'm going to need something a little sturdier. Now I got to check that out, because my go-to hammer for the last 15, 16 years, it was honestly the first buy it for life tool that I ever bought. I think it was like 30 or 40 bucks back in the day, but it is an Eastwing. And they're good. I love them. So I'll definitely check them out. Always looking for recommendations. Yes, he did say alcohol free. Let me see what it said. Said here. I didn't write it all down. Thanks, Ted. But yes, said there was no alcohol. I thought there was no additives I forget what the other one was, but Eastwing razor knife. I got to check that out. Seriously, I didn't even know they made knives. So I got to check that out. And Joey wants to know if I like Imagine Dragons. I don't know. I want to say yes, but I can't. I know some of their songs, but I bet Charlotte, who's in here, she could tell you some of her songs that she'd like of them. But yeah, I'm more of a 90s grunge kind of guy, and an AC/DC guy, although I don't have an AC/DC shirt on tonight. But yeah, Highway to Hell, definitely. Imagine. Aren't you nice? Oh, you're a good person, aren't you? There we go. Let's just, there you go. Bye, Joey. He's gone. Or at least the message is. put you in timeout for a little bit. There we go. Hey guys, we must be doing something right. We ended up having somebody in here sending nasty messages, so we kind of enjoy that, don't we? All right, next one, we're going to head on to Ben from YouTube. Says to use a wire brush on spark plugs and get a gap tool. Spark plugs rarely go bad, just fouled up. So yes, absolutely. That is, yeah, I said to use emery cloth, and emery cloth works really good. And a lot of times spark plugs really don't go bad. It's pretty rare that they end up breaking or dying or something like that. So yeah, get yourself a wire brush, give them a good scrubbing. I guess that's the right word to use, right? And something I didn't mention in any of my videos, and I should have grabbed one. Need a new moderator, Tim. You find? Yep. I don't know. I guess we're doing something right if we got a troll. It was actually a pretty funny message that Joey put there. I don't know who the hell he is, but it did crack me up. So that made me good. So yeah, I will. And I'll have to figure out how to do that, Ted. And if you're volunteering, no, I know it's always late on where you're from, but yeah. So if you guys have ever seen it, it looks like an old fashioned silver dollar, and it's a spark plug gapping tool. I think I paid like $6 at my local auto parts store. They're worth their weight in gold for what they are. I don't use them often, but yeah, if you can get the fouling, the dirt, the old carbon buildup in the spark plug cleaned off, then yeah, that's all you need. That between that and the gapping tool, you should be good to go. It'll get your generator up and running, especially in a pinch, but they're worth having, period. As long as you know what the gap should be on your spark plug. Let's see. What's next? Oh, John Grohl. Did I see John in here earlier? I bet I did. Let's go back and see. No, that's John Palmer. Sorry. John Grohl over on YouTube recommended another channel. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's called Chickanic Channel. It's like chick and mechanic put together. I got her and her husband. They have a small engine repair business, and I'm always looking for different videos that can help me learn how to fix my gear and my business and all of that. So if you're looking for another recommendation there, check it out. I haven't gotten over to Chickanic yet, but if it comes from the community, it usually comes from an honest place, and it's something that they recommend and they're learning from. So I always love to share it. BFKC, I love that name, over on YouTube, also mentioned. So you guys saw that the Milwaukee Fastback was on sale, and it was a good price, but it sold out quick. And they said if you wanted to check out Home Depot this week, $19.97 for the Milwaukee second gen knife, which I still haven't picked one of those up yet. They're really nice, and a 50 pack of utility blades. And I thought, man, if I didn't get a chance to share that with you guys, I absolutely had to. So yeah, check that out. It's just on homedepot.com. So us Canucks can't take advantage of that sale, but for you guys, who is almost everybody, hey, no worries. Now, what are we after? All right. Roblan on YouTube. Now, I thought this was pretty cool, and this came out of my follow-up review on the cordless DeWalt 60-volt trimmer. And he said, I think it's a he, looked like, yeah, he as far as the name goes, using battery gear as a green selling point. I thought this would be something worth discussing for a minute. Maybe you guys have some ideas too, but I thought it was kind of cool. Now, I'm busy enough that I really didn't have to advertise this year, and I didn't have to go out there looking for new lawn customers because, well, I didn't need it. It's not that could I hire more people and do more work? Yes. But that being said, if somebody's out there looking to start up a new lawn care business, you guys know I love my DeWalt battery gear, number one. But one thing I never mentioned, at least I don't think I did in any of my why batteries better than gas videos I've done in the past, was the fact that a lot of people are looking at going green. I don't mean green like my, wallpaper back here or my green screen, but, they want to be more cautious and careful for the environment. And whatever their motivations are, the fact remains that being seen as green could make you more money, could even allow you to possibly have a premium on what you charge. So if you're looking at you're crazy not to at least try the battery gear at this point. But if you can position yourself when advertising as a green alternative, because there's no fuel, well, there's just a bunch, but no fumes, no fuel, no spills, all of that. And, apples to apples comparison, electric is better on the environment for the most part than petroleum-based products. So if you're looking at possibly getting out there and advertising and starting something up, and it's really not that much more of an investment, maybe a little more, but it isn't that much more. You could definitely advertise yourself as a green business or as a green lawn care alternative. So I also thought I shared a bunch of, just random thoughts and ideas that different community members had shared this week. And I wanted to inspire you guys a little bit too. So I get a lot of these messages from people who are out there kicking ass, taking names, starting a side hustle, or doing the whole full-time gig thing. And I know I don't always talk about that stuff on my channel as often as I used to, just simply because I have to narrow the focus down. But I wanted to share with you guys a couple of people who are kicking ass right now. Oh, PT on the rum. Anyway, just Ted's wondering where you're at. So, anyway. So this one came from Rob over on Instagram, and I thought it would be really, I wanted to share this with you. So it said, "Hey, Tim, I just got back from doing a little hustle after my day job. Did some painting, fixed a window, installed a doorknob, fixed the toilet paper holder, and much more to do. Thanks for the inspiration to get out there and do things." I said, "Thanks, Tim. While I was on the ladder painting the stairwell the other day, I could hear you talking about not overreaching and looking like Clark W. Griswold. Ended up taping the brush to a broom handle to reach the spot I couldn't get from the ladder." Well, anyway, I love hearing that from Rob. There's been a bunch of people send that along, but it's just nice to hear people that are, there's not a ton of people who are motivated enough to work all day long and then get off their ass and decide, I'm not going to sit down and watch Netflix tonight. I'm going to get the hell out there and I'm going to work and I'm going to make money and I'm going to build my damn freedom. And that's what he's doing. And I love hearing it. And it's not for everybody, but my God, is entrepreneurship the best thing that's ever happened to us as a family. The best thing. And so if you can take any inspiration from Rob, I love it. And then here's the next one. This one comes from Dan on MeWe. And if you guys don't know Dan, he's in here sometimes. He can't always get logged into the chat, but sometimes he'll send me text messages while we're talking. I haven't got anything from him yet tonight. But when he gets in here, he's an awesome guy. He has been kicking ass and taking names. He got knocked down early on. He was doing a next door thing, sharpening knives, and all of a sudden, for no reason at all, they deleted his account on Nextdoor. Had to rebuild, didn't keep a list of his customers. That's neither here nor there. We all do stupid shit like that, so it's not your fault. Dill, just beaten and pounded, and he's having to turn work down. But he sent me this message, and he said, "I'd like to send a thank you to Toolman Tim and Jack Spirko for all the inspiration." If you guys know Jack, I'm on his podcast, so this is a pretty cool message. But he said, "I followed Jack since 2014, gained a ton of knowledge over the last 7 years. My life has changed because of all this inspiration. Tim has been the best mentor in helping me get my side hustle going. Because of what Tim has helped me think through, I'm moving toward financial freedom goals. I started out last summer thinking in a rewind where Jack challenged us to make $100 a week and then double it. It started with hauling dump loads. I cannot believe how easy it is and how I was able to establish a good reputation in the community, and I barely even need to advertise on Nextdoor anymore. Since starting this a year ago," anyway, he goes on to how much he clears, and he is just knocking it out of the park, and I am so friggin' proud of him. And he's at the point where he's got to turn work down because he either doesn't have time or he's too busy out there making more money that he can't do certain jobs. And like I said, if you guys are thinking about doing something, and if you're somebody that's, I know the people that tune in and watch this are, top notch and doing this kind of stuff. But if you're watching this on the recording down the road and you need some motivation, man, just listen. Tall grass better than a 20 horsepower. I don't get it. You know what? I don't know. I could sit here and pretend to give you an answer that I really know. There's got to be a whole lot more behind that. I'm going to do some digging and I'm going to find out. But yeah, that seems like one of those life's little mysteries. Like, how do they get the peanut butter inside the Reese's peanut butter cups, right? And Ted says, don't talk about knobs on YouTube either. Yes. Well, one of my favorite YouTubers, he's a British guy. He ends up doing food reviews and different things like that. He had spotted dick on the other day, which is apparently a really odd British pudding or something. Anyway, so you can just imagine all the jokes that he made out of that. But yeah, so if you guys are looking for any motivation, it does not take long to find it, and it's out there. And I've always said my superpower is doing, one or two little things every single day to make great things happen. And that is the key. I had a bunch of people quote a lot of the stuff that I said on the podcast this week, and it meant the world to me because it obviously meant the world to them. And I appreciate that. So a few cool things coming up, or some tool news I seen this week, and I don't have any more information other than about all of this. And Ted, if you've seen anything, you can chime in because Ted always knows some stuff about this. But Milwaukee announced they're putting out an 18-volt cordless mower. I wrote down mover. I should have wrote down mower. But yes, so it's going to compete with the DeWalt. I really like what I've seen. I really like. They haven't talked a whole hell of a lot about the battery setup yet. I'll let you guys know when I find out. One thing that it's going to be, apparently they're only going to offer, yeah, Ted said they did. So good. I usually defer to Ted on some of these tool announcements because he usually hears about them before I do. But there was a couple features. Number one, it's going to be self-propelled. And that's apparently the only model that's going to be out there yet. But what I really like about it is apparently a one-touch blade height adjustment. So my DeWalt's awesome. I love it, but I have to adjust two, front and back. At least it's better than my gas push jobby that I have to adjust all four. But apparently the Milwaukee's going to have the one-touch one. So I love that. It's great. When I find out more, if they talk more about what kind of battery it's going to use or what kind of size battery it's going to ship with, all of that kind of stuff. And it's a 3-in-1 just like the DeWalt. So I mentioned a little bit in passing, we got a bunch of improvements coming in the live streaming end of things. First off, you'll see a new backdrop coming soon. I'm really glad that this camera and microphone combination is working out. I knew it would every week, and you compound that over a year, man, you can kick ass. So, but the big thing about getting better is sometimes you try stuff and you fall flat on your face. And that's, like if you go back and look at my very first live stream that was about 10 minutes long, I just kind of rambled on to myself, didn't have much to talk about. And it's all about learning, right? So, you guys remember that old movie, What About Bob? And he goes and he sees his psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist says, Bob, you got to use baby steps. So then every time he goes somewhere, it's baby steps out the door, baby steps down the stairs, baby steps out the driveway. And that's what it is. It's just a matter of, like I said, small incremental improvements on a daily basis over a year makes incredible results. So the changes, like I said, you'll get used to it. All my other videos will be the normal out in the shop, in the studio space. But down here, I'm going to try to make it a little cozier. I got my black screen coming. Hopefully I'll have my signage that I can put back here. And so we got the new webcam. We got the better podcast mic coming. I'm going to be using StreamYard, so we're going to be having multiple streams at the same time, which is really cool, which is my really, really awesome announcement here in just a minute. But you'll be able to follow me. Of course, it's always going to be on YouTube, but also I'm going to multi-stream over, I don't know if that's the right term or not, but anyway, simulcast. There, that sounds really important, doesn't it? Simulcast on YouTube, Odyssey, and Float all at the same time. So I'm going to be doing some testing this week to figure all of that out. I've been using StreamYard for a while. Me and the kids and the wife have been, we'd been playing with this about a month ago, and it worked really well. And now I'm going to push it out there in the real world and see how well this streaming thing works, because I've got a fairly big audience over on Float, a pretty good size audience on Odyssey as well. So I'd love for everybody over there to be able to interact with us at the same time. I think that'd be really cool. Now, I'm going to respond to Brandon before I tell you the next big announcement. So he said, you might appreciate this tip for Craftsman mower that won't stay height adjusted. I tried using a stop to hold it. Doesn't work. Shim it. It will tighten again with increase in girth. I would almost have to see pictures of that, Brandon, to figure that out, but that's okay. I don't know. I have troubles with my push mowers at the best of times. I beat and pound and I beat them to death. Even my zero turn I've had for exactly 2 summers, just over a year I bought it, and I have beat that thing. I beat the piss right out of it. I've got a crack in the deck. I got an oil leak. Anyway, I work it well. I have more than made its money back. It's going to be time to get a better one next year. And my wife always gets after me to buy bigger and better tools. Anyway, that's why I love her so much. I think she might be watching tonight. And if she is, hi, sweetie. But yeah, so anyway, mowers, Love them, hate them. They always cost me money, but they always make me money too. Okay, so the next big thing is we're going to have on the channel here my first ever guest next Sunday night on Talking Tools live stream, and it's somebody you guys all know. It's going to be Joseph Mills from Mills Construction. He's going to come on. He's going to tell a bit of his story, and he's going to share his 5 favorite hand tools with you guys. So him and I are going to do some tests this week. I'm really excited about it. We're going to make sure we don't look like absolute idiots and that sort of thing. And it's going to be great. I love the idea. I think it's going to work really, really well. It says we got chat disconnected here for a minute. We'll see what's going on, but that's okay. We'll just run a test here, see if it shows up. And yeah, so basically it's going to be what I've been talking about all along, and that we're going to have guests on here once a month at least. I'd love to get into having maybe 3 or 4 of us all together doing a chat. But next week, Joseph's going to be the very first inaugural guest on Talking Tools live stream. I don't even know what we're going to call it yet, but it's going to work. There we go. Yes, Hyrith says hello. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So it's going to be awesome. He was excited. I'm excited. We're both nervous like little school kids because, again, it's something new that we're going to test and learn and grow from. So if there's any, growing pains, you guys are always patient with me, and I appreciate it. This worked really well. This was my next step into it. He's going to test his setup this week. We're going to do a couple of live stream tests. So if you happen to see some kind of weird live stream, feel free to drop by, and it'll be unannounced when we test it. And if I can make it work, I'm even going to try to stream it to my other 2 platforms at the same time. And if that doesn't happen, it'll be the week after. But yes, so next Sunday, Joseph's going to be the first guest appearance on the workshop Talking Tools live stream. I'm pretty excited about that. Before I logged in, I haven't checked in a little bit. We're getting really, really close to a milestone in the workshop. We are at 1,993 subscribers. Today's been a really good day. So hopefully by the end of the day tomorrow, we should hit a milestone that I never thought. Well, no, it's not that I didn't think I would, but I thought it was, it was coming eventually, but it's still pretty exciting. So we're going to be at 2,000 subscribers. Haven't decided if I'm going to do anything special yet. I was thinking about maybe doing a Q&A session, but we did one tonight, so we'll call it that. But so we're almost at the 2,000 subscriber milestone. I wouldn't be there if it weren't for you guys. It's awesome. It took me 15 months to hit the first 1,000. Took me 3 months to hit the next 500, and looks like 2 months to hit the next 500. So it is awesome. And I appreciate it, guys. You're actually allowing me to make a little bit of money off this content creation thing. I'm above where my goal was, already. I'm really excited. Let's see if we can hit 5,000 at the 2-year anniversary mark of the channel, which will be the end of February next year. We'll see. If we don't, we don't. But the way we're growing, I'm tickled pink about it. So I got all these old man sayings that I love to say. What else? So this week, if you guys haven't listened to it yet, you can run by and check out. I was on the Survival Podcast. I always do, the weekly, or quite often the expert counsel segments. But this week I got to get on and do a full 1-hour interview with Jack. I shared my thoughts about becoming a content creator in 2021. I was really going to say 2001. What the hell's wrong with me tonight? Had an awesome time and got some really good feedback from the community, some really good engagement, big subscriber bump on the YouTube channel. But the biggest thing was how much traffic came through on the website. So it was really cool. We got a lot of people incoming. It's nice when every time you can get a chance. And that being said, if you guys know of any other podcasts you think maybe would be a good fit for me, I'd love to get on. I'm shooting for maybe 2 or 3, maybe between now and the end of the year anyway. But I wouldn't mind getting on 5 or 6 a year, at least to get started, and just get out there and have a chat, Let's see. Who else? Oh, yeah. I wanted to let you guys know, if you haven't heard of Kerry Brown, every week I'm going to try to spotlight at least one community member. And he's around a lot. He interacts with me. He sent me a few questions, just kind of kicking around some different scenarios that he's worked out in his handyman business. But he sent me a link this week to his brand new Strong Roots Resources. Try to say that 10 times fast. Instagram page. When I'm all said and done, I'll go back through here and I'll try to post some of this stuff in the comments or in the description for you. But if you haven't, check out Strong Roots Resources. He's an awesome guy. He does permaculture style assessments for properties down in the Tennessee area. So that may not affect you or I a whole lot, but he's just a really cool guy who walked away from being an EMT to be self-employed, running a handyman landscaping business. And I listened to him on Nicole Sauce's podcast a few months back. I think it was in late winter. And he told a story about giving up drinking. And, you know, he didn't tell it to let people be like, to be one of them guys that says everyone needs to quit drinking. But he told his story about how it had become an issue for him and how his willpower, mind over matter, and doing the small things day in and day out has made his life a hell of a lot better. So anyway, if you got a minute, check out Strong Roots Resources over on Instagram. What else? Oh, Chicken Hawk. I know we talked about it already, but if you haven't checked out his video this week, I loved his review on the 20-volt DeWalt chainsaw. I loved it enough. I shared it across social because it's awesome. I love it. He had mentioned a while back that we should do a community DeWalt playlist. I would love to put one of those together. I just never think of it or haven't gotten around to it. So if that's something someone else is interested in doing and we can figure out a way to make that work, it would be awesome. But I'd love to have a whole bunch of different community members who do tool reviews or just your recommended DeWalt videos, and we can put them all together as a community sourced playlist. I would love to do that. Yeah, and Joseph did a pretty cool video, if you haven't watched his yet, on Swiss made ratcheting screwdrivers, and he bought them from the toolator.com. They were, anyway, you can listen to him gush about the Swiss made ratcheting screwdrivers, but they're awesome. So every week I'm going to try to do a recap of different community members who are attached to here and basically what they're talking about, some really cool highlights, just so you guys have an idea of what else is out there. And if you guys are, yeah, and if I look a little extra tired this week, I probably am a little, but me and the missus, we took our twins and my 8-year-old nephew. We went away for the weekend and we had an awesome time. We went to the West Edmonton Mall, which is the second biggest mall in North America. And we spent a day at the indoor amusement park, another day at the indoor water park. We had an awesome time. I was reminded on multiple occasions how I'm not 25 anymore and I'm 40, and how beaten and pounded myself on water slides and in wave pools is just a little bit harder than it used to be. But it was awesome. I love being away with the family. We've taken a lot of those mini vacations this summer. And yeah, Charlotte's in here. That's Hyreth there. And we had an awesome time. And then something really cool, and we might turn this into a little bit of content too, but my other daughter, Alice, is huge into MREs, and that's those, you know, the military meals. So we went to an Army surplus store in the city on the weekend, and we picked up a case of MREs. And anyway, we tested out the first one tonight. And if you guys want to see, we didn't do a video this time just because I didn't know if they're going to taste like shit or if they're going to be good or whatever. Anyway, we might post some of them just over on the Odyssey account, just because it doesn't really fit in over here, but it's a lot of fun. Or maybe we'll just put it on social. But if you guys haven't ever tried MREs before, these are pretty cool. They're the Canadian one meal military meals, and they're a lot of fun. This one was awesome, but I don't want to spoil it for you. But anyway, Alice, she loves them. So I wanted to do it with her as well. And we had a lot of fun with it. So it was pretty cool. And I guess she's watching too. So, hey, Alex, I love you. So yeah, I guess I had more notes tonight than I thought I did. But yeah, Ted says, hi, Al. I guess you can see the chat, can't you? So I'm glad this worked a little bit better than I maybe expected it to. This new gear's working good. I don't know. How about everybody else? How's your guys' week gone this week? Have you had any big successes, any big failures, anything crazy like that? Because I always love hearing about it. And I think my voice is going away, so that's okay too. But yeah, we had an awesome time in the city for the weekend. Me and the missus are gonna try to get another weekend away before too long, but it's back to the grind this week, starting tomorrow. It's got a full week's worth of work. Probably got a couple of weeks worth of work coming up, which I'm excited about. Got a bunch of tools to spend some more time playing with so I can get some more reviews for you. I hope a couple more things show up soon so that I can get reviews done in time for next month's content. I got about 2 more weeks, and then I'm going to start putting all the videos together for you guys for next month. But you'll see that electric wood price. Yeah, I haven't Got an extended vacation to TS. I bet you I'm missing something. TS Fred. I'm probably missing that, and I'm probably being stupid. But so I've noticed, Brandon, that the wood price is finally falling as well, at least on some stuff. Of course, around here, it's funny how if they have plywood in stock and the price goes up, the price goes up. You know what I mean? Even though they already bought it at the lower price. But when the price comes down, the story's always the same. Oh, Tropical Storm Fred. I didn't hear about that. Oh, and you guys held up good down there. I hope anyway. I know I've seen some pictures. I didn't see if you posted anything of any damage or anything, but I'm glad you were okay because you're obviously here and you have internet. But yes, Brandon, I did notice wood prices are coming down. But like I said, hey, the price goes up immediately, but then the price doesn't come down until they get new inventory. And I used to sell building supplies. I know the song and dance. I know how it works, but damn it, I would love to see the prices come back down. I have to find time this week to build a 16 by 24 on the ground deck for our backyard because we got a hot tub coming. I'm pretty excited. Actually, my wife's even more excited than I am. But that being said, I'll probably post some pictures, maybe a couple of quick videos of stuff I'm doing. But I'm glad that prices have come down a little bit. Although pressure treated hasn't seemed to come down like the studs and the 2x6s around here. But it is what it is. But hasn't hit yet. Getting here tomorrow. Didn't want to risk drive. Yeah, I grew up on the East Coast in Nova Scotia, so we didn't have very many hurricanes, but we would get tropical depressions or post-tropical storms come through there quite often. We did have Hurricane Juan back in 2003, I want to say. It was massive. It was pretty rare that a hurricane actually made it all the way to Nova Scotia and hit land there. But it was a good storm, a lot of flooding, a lot of big trees lost, but we never ever get it, of course, as bad as you guys do down in Florida, Ted. I guess that's, how it works, right? But it's always a trade-off. You get good weather, you live in the beautiful temperate areas, and they seem to be the places that you end up getting the worst, kind of craziest weather. And I don't know if you guys saw, but it sounded like Haiti got a pretty nasty earthquake again the other day. I hope it wasn't as bad as the last one, but I know they haven't even fully recovered from that. But hopefully, what are they saying, Ted, as far as the forecast goes? Is it going to hit where you are or kind of miss you? Because if I remember, you're almost right down to the bottom, aren't you? Or getting pretty low there? I try to stay away from the news the best I can, which means I don't usually find out about Hurricane Sally destroyed the place I'm at last year. Prayers. Yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely. And they were able to rebuild that quick. So, or at least, somewhat, but it just seems like we've had a lot of nasty hurricanes and a lot of nasty weather the last few years, but hopefully you stay safe, Ted. I know. I don't know. Does it look like it's a fairly fast moving? I hope it goes over you pretty quick and doesn't do a whole hell of a lot of damage, but I guess it's a way of life living down there, And yeah, as far as us today, not that it's nearly as bad, but today's the last day of the 90-degree temperatures. We're, I think as far as that goes, we're going to be beyond the really hot. We've already started seeing some leaves fall here, which if you guys probably think that's absolutely insane, but yeah, we are heading into autumn really quick here, which is cool. I love that time of year because it's, there's a lot of money to be made there, but the weather changes, which means it's going to be coming down to the cold really quick. So Ted says he's at his vacation house right now. Should just be a lot of rain. Well, that's good. Post a couple of reels on Instagram. I'd love to see some of the crazy rain you get, as long as you can stay safe, of course. And yeah, just stay safe because I've been through some nasty weather in the wintertime, especially. We used to get nasty blizzards out east and we get nasty wind out here, but nothing like you guys get. So yeah, all I can say is stay safe, Ted. And I seen you sent me an IM on Instagram too. I'll check it out here in a minute. But yeah, it's crazy. All right, guys, 55 minutes. I almost hit an hour this week, but my voice is going, and which is not a bad thing. I like the sound of my own voice enough that I love to get on here and talk to you guys, which is always fun. I can't wait for next week. So don't forget about next week. We got Joseph coming up. I'm super stoked about having my first guest. We'll see what happens. It's going to go well. I'm going to knock it out of the park. And yeah, You too, Ted. All right, guys, I'm going to call it there. Well, like I said, we just about hit 55 minutes. So everybody stay safe if you're anywhere near this bad weather coming through. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week. Take care, guys.